Welcome to session 233 of the MLM Success Podcast. I hope you've had an awesome week. Donna and I just got back last night from 8 days in Kentucky. We had just a wonderful time yesterday with my family for Mother's Day, spending time with my mom and my dad and my brother and my sister, and we just had a fabulous break. We've continued to work every day, but it's been good to just get away. It started 8 days ago. I went and saw my granddaughter play in an AAU basketball tournament in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it was phenomenal. I mean, I said, Chapel, you're a warrior. Be a warrior. And she went out, and then we got to see her play a couple games. But the first game, she just came out and just boom, 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 4 straight three-pointers, and, led her team to victory. And that was phenomenal to get to see that and witness that. And again, we just had a great week. We got to spend time with a couple of team members, Dave up in Cincinnati and Tony in Lexington, Kentucky, and enjoyed the time. This week, the title of this podcast almost seems like, how could this possibly ever occur? But the title of this podcast is How to Accomplish More in 6 Months Than You Did the Last 20 Years Combined. I think you're going to enjoy it.
Welcome to the MLMSuccess.com podcast, the show designed to return the network marketing industry to its roots of personal growth, leadership development, and wisdom of the ages success principles. We share with you real success stories from real people that we hope will inspire and encourage you personally and help you progress forward in your business and your life. We believe if you build people, people will build the business. Now here is your host, who has been called the #1 mind in network marketing, the MLM Prophet, network marketing virtual mentor, and a host of other names that we will not mention because this is a family show. Frankly, he's just a small-town guy that figured out that the real product in network marketing is people. Dale Calvert.
I want to welcome you to session 233 of the MLM Success Podcast, How to Accomplish More in 6 Months Than the Last 20 Years Combined, featuring Alan Knight. In many ways, the path to network marketing success today is easier than it's ever been if you're following very sequential, proven systems that always lead to success, and you're with the right company at the right time in history. And if that's really the case, then why has network marketing become such a huge social club full of wimpy distributors that have bought into these 8th place trophy philosophies taught by a lot of 3%ers whose only concern seems to be to keep their team members on auto ship one more month, or gurus whose only focus is to sell them their newest attraction marketing course? If you're a regular listener to this podcast, I talk about these type of personal development and growth ideas every single week. This week, I want you to be able to listen in to a conversation I recently had with Alan Knight. For the first time in 20 years, Alan's business is moving forward, progressing every day, every week, and every month. Progression. What you're going to hear may sound too good to be true. However, when the stars do line up for your opportunity and the right sequential mindset and team development systems are in place, this is what network marketing is supposed to be. It's what it's supposed to provide to entrepreneurial-minded, entrepreneurial-spirited people. This is what network marketing was meant to be. I hope you enjoy this session with Alan Knight, and make no mistake, his wife Jen is behind the scenes, running the show and helping him and supporting him every single day. Enjoy this conversation.
Probably, ladies and gentlemen, probably about, I'm going to say maybe 2 years ago, the first time I talked to this gentleman. He's been a member of our MLM training club, and we did opened it up where people could call and get 20-minute consultation or whatever. And all I can remember really about it was him saying, I just want to win, Dale. I just want to win. I just want to win. And long story short, I've had the privilege to work with him now for the past 6 months or so. Alan Knight from California, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Dale. Glad to be here.
Appreciate you being with us. Recently, I read a comment that really hit me when you said it, because I know it's true based upon your background, and I know there's a lot of other people that probably have kind of been in this situation. You've been around the profession for about 20 years, and there's a lot of people that have and just really want to win. And in this comment you said, I've made more progress in the last 6 months than I've made in the last 20 years combined. How did that happen? Just what is the culture? What has it meant to you? Why? What are your perspectives on this? Because I know you're a pretty deep thinker. So what are your thoughts?
I don't know about that, but okay. So I've been, I've loved the industry, for kind of like you, what I've heard you say at times, it's kind of a love-hate thing that I've had, for many years. Got involved when I was quite young, invited myself to a meeting. I wasn't the model prospect. And so usually I had to invite myself to places because people weren't typically looking for me. But I got involved, had some quick success, according to my young, standards, and was kind of like that thing they talk about, ignorance on fire, and quick spurt which surprised the heck out of me, because I didn't think anybody would sign up for anything I had to offer, but they did, because I was just so darn enthusiastic about it. And but anyway, went through a lot, kind of had that initial flush, and then ran out of my list of names, and basically was in the systems I was involved with, in the companies I was involved with. They had to make a list of names, and then basically start talking to people to add to your list, by engaging in conversations out and about, out in the world, and that didn't work so well. First of all, didn't have the best self-image probably for a lot of that time, and it just felt like walking through mud, and so had ups and downs with it with different things. Didn't know that things that I've learned from you in the last probably a year that I've with the MLM training club, and then 6 months of working with you directly, things I didn't even know were issues, like timing and systematic systems that could help normal people reach their goals. And that, there's so much about that I had no idea. I really believed that there was one way to do it, and it was the way I was taught, and that was it. And I was blessed by because Amway was my first introduction to the industry. We did a lot of personal development stuff that was built into that culture. But really, the system was designed to help you find people who were overachievers. And basically, they said, well, if you're not an overachiever, you just need to find some overachievers to get on your team, and then it'll work. Which I did try to do a lot, and face planted, over and over and over again doing it. So I guess the difference between that and what I started, when I was actually looking for, because I used to love the old Amway stories and made people listen to them when I was young. Even guys I worked with at different jobs, I would set them in the car. You got to hear this story, man. So I was actually frustrated and looking for stories, and that's how I found your podcast. And because the first couple, the first little intro to it, was like, man, this is the stories. And I was like, and it was, and I was like, oh yeah, this is normal people like winning. And it was just like refreshing, because a lot of the stories I used to listen to, those guys were from a time where it's not recorded. They're not online, because it was pre-online. So a lot of those people are lost. And then you started talking about that there's actually systems for everything that we do. And I've been taught that. I've taught that, actually. I mean, I've used the McDonald's analogy for all of those 20 years. Probably every time I showed the plan to anybody, I used the McDonald's analogy. And it just proves you don't know what you don't know, and you don't even know what you're saying half the time when you're saying stuff that you've been kind of programmed to say. And I would say that we have, a system for everything, and we didn't have systems actually for anything much. We had a few systems. We had a system for how to make a list of names. We had a who do you know list. We had a system for some kind of a few scripts for following up. We had some, like you used to talk about, we had the flip book for showing the plan. But that was the only systems we had for building our business. And Tim, if you're listening to this, probably new or something like that, that doesn't seem unreasonable. Once you see you're around or even listen to this podcast more, you'll notice that Dale teaches systems for everything. Everything is systematic, because if you're the only one who knows how to do it, you're going to have a really good time doing it by yourself.
That's right.
And for me, the important thing that I've gained from working with you is that a very important piece is that when we read these books, and we read Magic Thinking Big, and we read, I was just looking at it today, Think and Grow Rich, and all of these books, what they say in there is what you can conceive and believe you can achieve. Well, we skip over that believe part real lightly. It's like, what you can conceive and believe you can achieve. Well, the believing is essential to having it work. And the systems that I was taught were not believable for me. Does that make them bad? No.
Sure.
I mean, they're probably fine for some person who's already got a good self-image and already has has felt like had some wins in their life and could go back and pull up all the wins they had and throw it over. All of that kind of thing works. I didn't have that. That wasn't my background. I for some reason there's a line in the movie As Good as It Gets, where he talks about families that are perfect and everything's wonderful. He's like, but that's nobody in this car, right? And in that, he's just saying that, that those systems were designed for overachievers. I'm sorry. I mean, that's just I'm right. But I mean, and what they're doing is they state it publicly. They're looking for the 3% of the population. And their whole system is built around looking for 3%ers. Well, that leaves 93% of the population in the dust. And yet we promise all 93 of them, if you have a dream and a work ethic, you can win. And in my opinion, it's a lie. Because it's like, no, they won't be able to win. Because the system is designed for people who are 3%ers. So anyway, and along way around what your systems do, and the culture specifically, the culture of your organization and the team that you formed in the past and are forming in a new way under a new era now, creates a system where it's truly duplicatable, for one thing, but also the team camaraderie which is very easy to work in because we're only doing one thing. And we have a template that is actually truly how to run a McDonald's. It's truly there is a right way to run a McDonald's, and it is the system for how to run the McDonald's. So if anybody asks me a question, I have a reference point that I can go back to, and I don't have to get smart. I don't have to be creative. I don't have to any of that stuff. There's a reference point. And if I can't remember what the reference point is that a person's question relates to, somebody else can. And so it doesn't hurt for me to talk to anybody on the team because my only question is, well, what is the reference? What does the system say that we do in this particular case? And we actually have the material for every piece of that. So it's like there's no piece that is not covered in the system. But today, what if you get a customer, they've tried the samples and they didn't take them yet? What do you do? Well, that's a little bit nuanced right there, right? But you know what? There's a system. We have a plan for that. You ask them, are they gonna? I mean, that seems dumb, right? That seems simple. You should be able to come up with that on your own. But you know what? When your adrenaline gets up because you're excited because you just got a customer or a potential customer or something like that, I don't know about other people, but my brain gets foggy when it comes to mine. When it comes to yours, I know exactly what to tell you. But when it comes to mine, sometimes my brain gets foggy. So what we have is we work together as a team right in the same, Zoom room. Everybody knows what a Zoom is now, thanks to COVID. But we work with a team right inside of the Zoom room. And so when somebody else has a question, my adrenaline isn't up. And so I can clearly reference them back to the materials that will answer that question. And when I have one of those situations, somebody else can do it for me. And just being there and witnessing that in real time, if you're a fly on the wall, you just popped into the Zoom room, you're brand new on the team, you don't know, what even we're doing here. You can listen, and what it says to me is that we've got you covered. Like I saw somebody put a post on a Facebook post underneath one of our team's posts yesterday, and they said, "Is this one of those things that you do by yourself? And is this another one of those things that you do by yourself?" And I commented on it. I said, it's exactly the opposite of one of those things that you do by yourself. We don't. This is not, because I don't have the guts. I mean, I'm just, I'm out myself or whatever. But I don't. When I'm holding the phone in my bathroom trying to call people and get up the courage, I don't have the courage typically. But when I'm around a group of people and we're all like going through the battle at the same time with each other, we just mute ourselves and get on that conversation. If it is a conversation, we rarely do it verbally these days because we have so many tools with text and email and all the other ways we can communicate. But when I do, it's like I have people right there. I heard a saying one time. He says, like doing cross-country bicycle or whatever, or doing these uphill and downhill climbs like they do in the Tour de France, it's horrible. I mean, and it's horrible no matter what. But when you have 4 or 10 guys with you doing it together, somehow it makes it less horrible. It's like it's less painful when you're with a group and you're all riding together. The shared misery of it, because we're building a business. There's parts of it that aren't fun. And so, but somehow that shared experience lessens the discomfort. And for me, the biggest piece of that I go back to is that we're doing tasks in the way that you teach and bring people along in their leadership growth. We're doing tasks that we can believe at the time we can do, which is huge.
Very
huge, right? Because if you can't believe it, you're not going to do it, or you're not going to do it effectively. And so that's been for me that I've noticed the changes in myself to where as things that if you had told me 6 months ago, I would be fluid and okay with, and people, throwing all kinds of things at me, going, it's a scam, just like everybody deals with in this industry. But, all of that kind of thing, I'm completely okay with people being a little bit upset with me. Doesn't bother me at all, right? Because why? Because I've with a group of people, we've collectively grown as a group to where we're all further along. And then we know, so I'm not the only one experiencing this. This is what people experience who build businesses, any kind of businesses. This is what they experience. But because I'm with a group, I experience that it lessens the difficulty, and it helps us all grow, I think, exponentially faster.
I without question. I mean, I've seen people, and people don't believe this, but I have seen people in the training structure we've established and that we're using, and the group training, and as you know, I'm on there as much as I possibly can be to support and help people. And I've seen people in 30 days have more personal growth and progress in their business. I mean, they're enrolling people, they're communicating with people, they're creating customers, more progress in 30 days than they would have probably been able to create in 3 years. Would you agree with that? You say
yes,
you've accomplished
3 years.
Yeah.
3 years, if ever, right? I mean, 3 years is generous. It's like, it's shocking to me. This is just garden variety people that we're dealing with. This is not superheroes.
That's right, 27%ers.
Right? And I watch people that it's actually shocking a little bit how quickly. I mean, and it's probably, I don't know how somebody would believe it, to tell you the truth, who hasn't who hasn't seen it. But I would have bet they would never be able to tell their brother-in-law to actually stop harassing them and just help them out with a situation, or help them further down the road in their business, just to stand up for themselves finally in their lives around this silly business structure, which probably is something that would have been good for them to do a long time ago in their life, regardless of this business structure, but finally be able to do that and see themselves in a brand new way, like they never had experienced or imagined that they could be like that. And we see it happen every day.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, all the time.
Yeah, I think about your buddy Kurt. You call him a brother from another mother, but the change that I have seen in him in 30 days is remarkable. But then I think about it, and I think, Dale, name one person that has been plugged into this training environment for 30 days who you haven't seen drastic progression. And I can't name one. It's working for everybody. Yeah, if they're willing to what you say plug in, which isn't mysterious. It's just if they're willing to do a couple of change their morning routine, just a slightly 15-minute routine that you recommend for people to help with their self-image. If they get on one of our outreach calls, either in the morning or in the afternoon or evening or both, if they find 1 hour in there, really 1 hour in their day that they can intentionally dedicate to their business, we have a way for them to be effective in that hour and to get progress in that hour, which changes their self-image, which helps them be way more effective going forward, and it just builds on itself. That's right. That's right. So when you said you've accomplished more in 6 months than you had the 20 years previously, that's not an exaggeration at all. Well, who I know myself to be, it's changed who I know myself to be. And you know what? I have some, given skills. My dad's a preacher, right? Nobody's ever accused me of not having something to say, right? Because I used to sit in church going, I could do that.
But my living it really didn't do that well with it. But the speaking I always had. So I was blessed with that piece. That's a given. But the actual change in my being consistent in my work, of being empowered in the work that I'm doing, like having hope, and hope is, hope like biblical hope, like faith of things unseen kind of hope. Having that has changed dramatically. Whereas I can, in a statement, I can look myself in the mirror and go, "You're going to win. You're already winning, and you're gonna." And in real measurable results as well. In monies we've made, in people that we've sponsored. We sponsor strangers. I've sponsored strangers. It's like I've sponsored people I haven't talked to. Show me. I don't know. Sure, maybe I guess there's some other companies that can do that. I haven't been around them, but because we don't just have like one lead generation technique that we like drive into the ground, we have I think we have like 20 on the site right now, or if not, it's like close to that, 15 to 20 that are currently on the site for ways to generate leads for your business. For me, that was the number one thing. That's the number one question that I've always had. My wife used to go, "Well, why aren't we succeeding?" And I'm like, "Don't we just need more people?" I'm like, "Yeah, but where am I going to find them?" That was as real to me as anything. And there's some 3%ers will go, "Well, it's easy." Well, not if you're a 27%er, right? Not it's like not if you don't already have credibility in your community, or already have that sphere of influence that you've already built. But with our systems, it's like I've been able to sponsor. I've sponsored 2 people in England. I've sponsored a whole variety of people from around the world and around the country. And none of it was doing anything that I was uncomfortable with. I mean, it was unfamiliar, and I had to get better at things. But most of it was doing scripted. All of it was doing scripted things, either online or in an email or all of these different ways. That I never have had access to that before.
Will you ever run out of people to talk to?
I was looking at it yesterday. It's like I was in some other group or whatever. I will never exhaust. Like I will never be able to talk to all the people that are available for me to talk to. I will never be able to. What a great feeling that is, right?
That's right.
The hardest thing is when do you become the worst prospector? When you got one person left on your list, right? That's when you're like, boy, this guy better say yes, because I'm out as soon as this guy's done, and then you sound wimpy and you sound begging and you all of that stuff. And it's like, man, if you know that you've got millions and millions of people that you really literally will run out of time in your day before you can talk to everybody that's available to talk to every day of the week. Man, that gives you a whole different posture, right?
That's right.
Like, well, you want to play or not? I don't really care either way. That's right.
And that's such a key point, because we have a team of strong postured people that know what they've got, know where they're going. And it's like, if you get to join this environment, it's the best thing that you could ever experience, because of the track record of what's already been happening right in front of all of us. We're all seeing people grow every day.
That's you having the experience of doing this with you have a skill set that is extreme. It's one of a kind, as far as I know. One of a kind person who has spent their life honing on not how to find overachievers, but he's spent his whole thinking, his whole like design of all of his work on how to help mom and pop, how to help garden variety, hardworking, yes, people with integrity are working on it. People, people who are good people win. And that's a very unique skill set. And you designed our systems around that. So you have people who may have never had posture in their lives gaining posture because of just doing the baby steps, really, the incremental steps, one at a time in order as you laid it out.
Yeah, sequential.
Yeah.
And, every lead generation technique we teach, we've got a video that walks people through the process. The scripts are there, everything that they do. It cannot be any simpler. It's just follow this video.
And it really is.
Follow this script.
And you actually are great because you're not even, we'll edit this out, but you're not even a perfectionist about that. I mean, you're a perfectionist about the scripts and all of that, but you show us you're human, which for me is so refreshing. Because it's because I'm like, you know what? Dale figured this out, right? And as far as like, because some things, people aren't, everybody doesn't have equal comfort with computers or the internet or different things like that. And sometimes they might have questions. Oh, could I learn that? Yes, would be, because you'll watch Dale and he'll struggle through it a little bit and get it. And it's like, oh, okay, well, if he could struggle through it and get it, I can struggle through it and get it. Because he made it work. Right. And so that just adds confidence also.
Yeah. Well, Alan, I want you to get back to work, my friend.
Yep. Okay.
I so appreciate this because and I think you've hit the nail on the head. I don't think we can explain to people what we are experiencing right now because I don't think there's a network marketer on the planet that would believe it. It has to be experienced. It just has to, but it's working.
I dare them. I dare them to level. Get around us. I dare them to get around us to just, maybe we're lying, but you can't prove it.
Yeah.
Get around us to see if it's not true what we're saying.
That's right. We're going to have so many average people that with above average desire, so many 27%ers that are the stories that are going to be told is going to blow people's minds in the future. I feel it. I see it coming. It's already happening. If people want to get a hold of you, what's your website?
So it's North America Launch Team, all no spaces, .com, NorthAmericaLaunchTeam.com/California.
/California.
Yep.
Awesome, my friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being with us, and I'll be.
Well, I thank you, Dal.
I'll see you on the Zoom later on this evening. Yes,
all
sir.
Right, we'll see you on the call.
Really, the only question some people should be asking themselves is, what if this is true? What if every person on my team could plug into a team culture that virtually guarantees their success? What if they could start moving forward and progressing immediately and develop life-altering income in a duplicating team in 3 to 5 years? A business that would go on to feed future generations of their family. What if that's true? For me, network marketing has never been about making enough money to cover my auto ship and a few $100 extra a month. It's always been about giving average people that are teachable and willing to go to work the opportunity to create financial independence and a lifestyle that most can't even begin to comprehend. I understand this path. I understand it at a level that it literally haunts me. Alan and many, many others are experiencing it daily, and we're just getting started. I can't wait to have Alan back on this podcast in a few years. For him, the hard part is over. He gets it. Where he progresses from this point over the next 20 years, will set up future generations of his family. I just believe that. The masses in this profession will continue to implement social media and attraction marketing systems that will never duplicate. That will never duplicate. And they'll continue, as they'll continue down these foo-foo dust paths that the gurus lead them down. And we've all seen it. I mean, look at the track record. Remember, again, I keep bringing this up, but 4 or 5 years ago when you had to have a blog if you want to be perceived to be a network marketing professional, and I could go on and on and on, and I'm not going to, but they'll continue to do what they do, and we'll continue to help 27%ers, average people with above average desire, create financial independence, a real business with real customers, and team members that are progressing month after month towards their goals and their dreams. Thank you, Alan and Jen Knight, for the example you set for others. This is Dale Calvert. I'll talk with you next week on another session of the MLM Success Podcast.
If you haven't gone over to iTunes yet and rated and left this podcast a review, what are you waiting for? At Calvert Marketing Group, we want to spend our time on the projects that we know are providing the most value for our clients and customers. You leaving us a review and feedback on iTunes is something that helps us more than you realize. And more importantly, it helps others like you find us. So if you've not taken the time to rate this podcast, please go over to iTunes and do that for us now. It will only take a couple of minutes out of your busy schedule. Work harder on yourself than you do on your business, and we will be back next week with another inspiring success story, wisdom of the ages training, or answers to your questions.